When aircraft fly during commercial operations, they tend to navigate using what are called airways, essentially motorways in the sky which link together to go in different directions. And these airways, when they link together at points which we call intersections. And typically those intersections will have two types of name. They can either have a 5-letter waypoint name, or they can have the name of a VOR. So the main difference, of course, between a VOR and a 5-letter waypoint name is that a VOR exists physically. It's a radio navigation aid on the ground with an antenna and various bits of equipment, whereas a 5-letter waypoint doesn't exist physically. It just exists in the GPS database of all the aircraft that use it. Now, on the radio, typically in radio communications, the general rule is that when we're referring to a 5-letter GPS waypoint, we refer to it phonetically, whereas when we're referring to a VOR, we tend to refer to the place where the VOR is situated. So for example, one IFR waypoint that's very commonly used in Bordeaux, just north of Bordeaux Airport, is this one here, which we pronounce simply Wagner. And traffic routing to the north out of Bordeaux will typically route via a VOR, which is Charlie November Alpha, and the place where that VOR is Cognac as in the drink. So generally speaking, pilots will pronounce the 5-letter waypoints phonetically and the names of the places for the VORs. Now in theory, that works quite well. However, some of the points don't take into account the different ways that an English or Italian or French or Spanish speaker would pronounce certain vowels, which can in certain circumstances lead to a little bit of confusion. So a good example is one particular point that's used a lot in the Bordeaux airspace, which is this one here. Now, French controllers would pronounce this point tu pars. And the reason why it's tu pars is because it's a point that you use to leave a certain sector of airspace. So tu pars as in you leave. But a native English speaker who's not got a lot of experience in the area is going to see the word, and the word they're going to see in their head, or at least when I first saw it, is going to be something like tupper, like Tupperware. So if we take a Yorkshireman flying for EasyJet, rather than saying tu pars, we're going to end up with something like this.
Well, control, good day, it's Easy 254 Alpha, flight level 360 on course to Topper.
And we could expect something similar with this point here, which French controllers would pronounce as Godem, so pronouncing the sounds with a quite French vowel sound. So what happens if an American pilot tries to pronounce the name of that point?
Apollo Control, good afternoon, American 166 Heavy, flight level 350 direct to Godem.
So another good example is a VOR between Bordeaux and Paris, just on the limit of the Paris airspace up at the north of Bordeaux, which is Alpha Mike Bravo, which is the town of Amboise. So what happens when a Scottish pilot tries to pronounce that?
Apollo Control, good day, it's Tom Jet 115, flight level 350 on course to Amboise.
So as we can see, we have a weird and wonderful variety of 5-letter phonetic point names. Now, who invents the names of these points? Well, it's actually quite simple. In every civil aviation authority, there is somebody in the navigation service, or some people in the navigation service, whose job it is to sit down, look at where they need to add some extra points, and decide what to call them. So there isn't, as far as I'm aware, any kind of real naming convention. Basically, it's up to the person who invents them. And as we're going to see, some of the people who invent these points have quite a lot of imagination. So some of the points that you see on the upper airways chart here relate to places which are names of towns, for example. So if we look at the south of the United Kingdom here, we can see that we've got the Southampton VOR here. We've got the Goodwood VOR here, and between Portsmouth, where I'm from, and Chichester, which is sort of around here, you've got this point here, which is Havant, because there is a town in the UK called Havant, obviously with a H at the beginning. Same thing goes for this point here. Etrat actually refers to the town of Etretat, which is like a coastal town, very, very nice, pretty coastal town on the North Normandy coast. Another interesting one, this one here, this is Cathy, which is actually St Catherine's Point, which is the southernmost point of the Isle of Wight. This one is actually used for VFR transits of the English Channel as well. We have a couple which have obviously been named for somebody's husband or somebody's brother. For example, here we have Erwan. Because it is possible to do a routing in the upper airspace route via this point here, Rubmi or Rubmai, depending how you want to pronounce it, whether you're French or English. And then down to this point here, which is coque. Coque in French means like the hull of a boat. So it is entirely possible to do a routing Rubmi coque. So there we have a little overview of IFR waypoints in commercial operations particularly, and how we typically tend to pronounce them. And as we can see, there are some times when it can be fairly confusing for pilots and controllers, particularly those who are not familiar with the airspace. So a typical workaround, when the controllers know that the pilots are not familiar with the local airspace, they will typically spell out the names of the VORs rather than saying the names of the towns. And of course, if a pilot hasn't quite understood a 5-letter waypoint, they can also ask for it to be spelt out. In any case, thank you very much to the people who create the names of these waypoints around the world for creating hours of amusement for people like me, and probably actually only me because I'm the only person who's geeky enough to be interested in it. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you found it interesting, and speak to you again soon. Bye bye.